And so, as I mentioned, today is, you know, it's funny now that I'm working from home, I can't keep my days straight. It is Monday, April 13th. You know, hopefully everyone out there is safe and healthy. And as I mentioned, today we are going to cover onboarding end users into the MyGinnieMae portal for our organization administrators. We are currently in wave 4 of 5 waves for onboarding our GinnieMae business partners into the portal. This is our largest wave. You are our single family, very small issuers. So we know that there are probably a lot of questions that you're going to have. We will open up at the end for a Q&A, and we will be happy to answer all of those questions for you. I will also let you know that this session's, the recording from today's session will be posted on the GinnieMae website. So if you'd like to go back for reference, the information will be there along with the overview, which is already posted to the GinnieMae website, along with a whole slew of resources which you can get to on the modernization page of ginniemay.gov. So we're going to talk a little bit about what's on the agenda. Next slide. Okay, on today's agenda, we're gonna tell you what we hope to accomplish with today's training and what our objectives are. We're gonna give you an overview of what MyGinnieMae is, and help to dispel some myths that are out there. This actually is not probably as big of a change as you think it might be. And so we'll set the record straight on that one and hopefully give you a very clear sense of what's to come soon. We'll talk to you about how to get started by registering for your own account in MyGinnieMae. For our organization administrators, we'll talk to you about the Access Management Console, which is an application that you'll use to manage the user accounts for our users in your own organization. We're going to give you a video demonstration of how to complete your own registration request, or how a registration request is completed. And then we're going to talk to you about how you will initiate those requests for your end users. We'll provide you with some information on how to troubleshoot some items that you might encounter when you're working in MyGinnieMae, and then give you some tips on how to make onboarding a little bit easier. Hold on just one second. I hear that I'm getting an echo. Okay. Holly, can you tell me if that's better? I heard that there was a bit of an echo. I muted one of the lines. Still echoing. Okay, so Holly, what that tells me is that you might be, you might have called in to the phone line as well as connected to the computer audio. You'll want to mute one of those items. Moving right along, so we're going to talk to you about how to prepare for onboarding your own users, and then we'll open up for the question and answer session. Okay, next slide. Okay, so here's what we want to accomplish today. For our organization administrators, what we want to show you today is a high-level overview of some of the general portal features. You know, there are some nice features, some very user-friendly features that come along with the portal that we'll give you an introduction to. We're going to give you some instructions on how to register for your own account in the portal. You'll each be getting an email invitation to register for an account in the portal. It's a very, very simple process to register for an account, but we're going to walk you through that via a demonstration. We're going to give you some guidance on how to prepare yourself for onboarding your end users. Many of you come from smaller organizations. You don't have a lot of end users, and so this should not be a very painful process for you, but still, we've been at it for a while, so we do have some good tips on how to manage that process and make it a little bit easier for you. We also have some information, like I said, on how to troubleshoot some items that might occur for you and where you can go to get help. So you're not out there on your own. We do have the GinnieMae customer support team available to assist you. Next slide. Okay, so what is the MyGinnieMae portal? Hold on Just 1 second. I'm gonna have to turn the volume down on that. Okay. So MyGinnieMae is a portal that provides enhanced security and a single point of entry to get to all of the GinnieMae business applications. So what this means is you have one user account. Whereas in the old world you had, a login and password for each GinnieMae system, now you will have just one account with one password, one username and one password. So it works kind of like this. It's like MyGinnieMae is the house. And inside of the house are all of the different applications that you need to do business with GinnieMae. GMAP 1.0 and RFS is in that house. GinnieNet is in that house. Our access management console is in that house. As we introduce new modernized applications like our multifamily pool delivery module, it's in that house. We'll be launching our single family pool delivery module, it's in that house. So MyGinnieMae is really just a house, but on that house is a door with some super tight security, a really tight lock. And so what we're doing in MyGinnieMae is we're entering a username, a password, and a one-time PIN to get through the front door. And once you get through the front door, you then navigate to all the systems that you already were using to do business with GinnieMae, as well as any modernized systems that we place in the house. So all the rooms that you have access to, you will have access to once you walk through that front door. You don't need to get in and then unlock the door of each application. So you don't have the need to enter a username and password when you get to GMAP 1.0 or when you get to GinnieNet, because you've authenticated at the front door and provided all your credentials there. And so then you are free to move around and access those systems without having to enter additional credentials. So a lot of people think that MyGinnieMae is replacing the legacy systems. That's not the case at this point. It is just a secure house to house those applications as we continue to modernize and make our platform more secure. Next slide. Okay, so why are we making the change? The bottom line is security. We are required by federal security requirements to introduce this functionality to make our systems more secure and to protect your business transactions. So what this introduces is single sign-on. As I mentioned, it's one username and password to get to all of our systems. It's multi-factor authentication. It means that you have to enter different factors like a username, a password, and a one-time PIN in order to authenticate into the portal. It introduces this concept of functional roles. This is a different way of providing system access, where you used to have to know every single system and application that you needed access to. Now, the only thing that the organization administrator really needs to know is what is that user's business function. And you connect that function to what's called a functional role. And when you assign that functional role to a user, all of the systems that that user needs access to now and forever will be tied to that functional role. And so that's a different way of provisioning access to our systems than we've done in the past. There's also an invitation model. So what that means is that our administrators within the different issuers across our organization are actually able to send invitations to the users in their organizations to get an account in the portal. They can manage that user's access. Since you're the ones that are closest to the users in your organization, we think that it's best that you actually manage that access on their behalf. And so we're giving you that through an invitation model to register for accounts and to gain access to the portal. Next slide. So how is it changing? This is how things are different from our legacy systems and how you accessed our legacy systems to the modernized portal, MyGinnieMae. In our legacy environment, GinnieMae admins at the Bank of New York Mellon on behalf of GinnieMae provided access to the users of your organizations. In MyGinnieMae, you, the organization administrators, actually provide that access to your end users. In our legacy environment, issuers provided system access to their sub-servicers. That is no longer true. Our sub-servicers have their own org admins. They were onboarded in wave 2 of MyGinnieMae onboarding. And so they are managing the access for the users in their organizations. You can now, well, in our legacy environment, you could go directly to GMAP 1.0 and GinnieNet to access those systems. In MyGinnieMae, everything goes through MyGinnieMae. You log into MyGinnieMae, and then you have opened up the gateways to be able to access all of those legacy systems. In the legacy environment, a username and password was all you needed to get in. In MyGinnieMae, you must also enter a one-time PIN. That's, again, what we call multi-factor authentication. And this is a concept that's going to be very familiar to you because we have to use it in our everyday lives. Whether you're shopping on Amazon or whether you're logging into your bank account or whatever it might be, many of us have experienced where we might get a number sent to us via text message or email or so on and so forth. And it's called a one-time PIN. And that concept is now introduced, that additional security is now introduced with the introduction of MyGinnieMae. In our legacy systems, access was identified by the applications and systems that you needed to have access to. And you requested that access based on those individual systems. Now it's a functional role assignment. And so if you are someone who's responsible for, submitting pools within your organization, you'll get that functional role, and then all of the systems that you need access to will come with that role assignment. As we introduce modernized systems, such as the single family pool delivery module, we will add that entitlement to the functional role. So we already know what your business function is, and we know that you need access to that new modernized application without you having to request it. The other thing that is introduced here is a separate user. Oh, I'm sorry. In our legacy environment, you had a separate username and password for each system. Again, it's just one username and one password. And that username is actually the same username for your RSA token as well. So for those of you who are RSA token holders, when you are asked to enter your RSA token username, your RSA username, that is actually the same username that you use to log into MyGinnieMae, which is your corporate email address. So your corporate email address becomes your username. And then in our legacy systems, there are certain things that GinnieMae customer support at the Bank of New York Mellon had to manage on behalf of users, updating profile attributes, unlocking accounts, resetting passwords, so on and so forth. Those things are no longer managed by the GinnieMae customer support team. A lot of those functions are self-help, meaning users can reset their own passwords now if they have forgotten their password or need to change their password. You as the organization administrator can assist them with that. You can also unlock their account if their account gets locked. So a lot of those functions you have the ability to manage as an end user or as the organization administrator within your organization. Next slide. So here's a little bit about the roles and responsibilities and what you, the organization administrator, are responsible for. There's a lot more responsibility for you than there was in our legacy system environment. And so I'm going to start at the bottom of this chart and talk about the end users. The end users are the different types of users who need access to GinnieMae business applications. They're responsible for pooling, they're responsible for reporting, they're an authorized signer who needs to go in and submit or certify. Those are end users. They get a functional role assignment to actually do business in our systems, okay? And it's fundamentally different than the organization administrator role, which is your role. The organization administrator role is simply a security privilege. It doesn't give you access to any of our business applications, but it does give you the privilege of inviting users to use the portal, setting up their access in functional roles to provide them access to different business applications via that functional role assignment. But it is a security privilege. It is not a functional role, thereby making you an end user. Now, of course, the next question is, can I be both? Absolutely. An organization administrator or someone who has been provided the security privilege of organization administrator can also be an end user in our systems and have access to business applications. But there is a separation of duties within the system and within the workflow that requires 2 organization administrators to set up any one end user. So if you are an organization administrator who also does business in our systems, you are going to need 2 other organization administrators to set up your account access and assign you functional roles. Okay, so while the MBS guide does require a minimum of 2 security officers in our systems, there is going to be an update because 2 actually no longer really cut it. If you need an organization administrator to also have business or end user access, business application access. I do recommend that each organization has a minimum of 3 or more organization administrators set up to manage account access. Because again, this gets into your roles and your responsibilities. Our operations administrator at the top of this chart, those are the folks at the Bank of New York Mellon on behalf of Ginnie Mae who have ultimate oversight of our portal. They're responsible for making sure that our systems are healthy and that they're maintained and that everything is functioning smoothly. They are not responsible for individual account access for end users. That is your responsibility as an organization administrator, okay? So you are now responsible for setting up users in the portal, for assigning functional roles to those end users, and for managing those end user accounts if your users have questions or issues and otherwise need access to the portal. The operations administrator is prohibited from conducting any actions to manage an end user account. So while they are responsible for this initial rollout of the portal to get our organization administrators set up and functioning in the portal at each of your organizations, ultimately, they are not responsible for your end users. They are able to assist organization administrators if you happen to be locked out of the portal and need to get back in to that, with that security privilege. They are also able to talk you through how to conduct the functions that you are responsible for conducting as an organization administrator. We have a lot of great resources and tools, a fantastic user manual with step-by-step instructions for pretty much every function that you'll need to complete in the portal. But do know that if you need additional assistance, the operations administrator, Ginnie Mae Customer Support, at the Bank of New York Mellon on behalf of Ginnie Mae is still able to assist you by guiding you and talking you through some of those steps. They just cannot complete the actions on your behalf. And therefore, there now is very little reason when it comes to account access for your end users to contact Ginnie Mae Customer Support. So just something important to know about the different roles and responsibilities so that people are able to efficiently get to the folks that they need to get to when they require assistance. Next slide. So here's a quick overview of functional roles. As I mentioned, functional roles are based on the business activities that an end user completes in the portal. Okay, which dictates which systems and applications they need access to. The functional roles have already been set up. We are going to be making some changes to the functional roles here shortly, and we'll be communicating those to you in a very clear manner, especially through the portal, as we have the ability to send messages and notifications through the portal. So you'll definitely want to get your account access set up so that you can access those messages and be up on the latest information. However, we have a functional role matrix that will be republished shortly inside of our Getting Started user manual that runs through all of the functional roles that are available to each organization based on their business partner type. We have a subset of those roles here for you. There's some single family, multifamily, HECM, and subservicer roles listed. And as you can see, we have at the top a loan delivery and pooling basic user. The functions that that particular user would complete are listed in the role description. Underneath that, you can see that we also have a loan delivery and pooling authorized signer. As you can see, it's pretty much the same functions as a basic user, plus they are a HUD 11702 signatory, and they are able to submit pools. Something important to note, and we'll cover this again, but something that is very important to note here. It is your responsibility as an organization administrator to only provide the functional roles and access that a user requires to complete their business functions. You should not assign any more roles than that user requires. And the authorized signer functional role already has all of the basic user functions built into it, plus the ability to submit. Therefore, you should not assign both of those roles to any one user, okay? I say that one more time. When you begin to assign functional roles for your users, please note that anyone who would receive an authorized signer functional role, meaning they are on the HUD 11702 and they are a signatory on behalf of your organization, they only need the authorized signer functional role because their role has all of the basic user functions plus the ability to submit, okay? So that's the big, that's the one thing that we're seeing folks kind of trip over. They keep, assigning both the basic user and authorized signer functional roles to one user. That's not necessary. We do actually review and note the functional roles that are being assigned as we have the final sign-off authority. And so we do pay attention to these things. Please note that, again, because you are responsible for making sure that no user has any more access than they require, if you go through and assign every functional role to a given user, it's a big red flag for us, and you probably will not have that user's access finalized, meaning we would reject it at the highest level. Because the way that the roles are provisioned or divided, there's no need for any user to have all of the functional roles that are available. So please make sure that you're being careful and deliberate when you're assigning those functional roles. And again, you're only providing the access that is required. Now, if you have a user who has multiple responsibilities and business functions within your organization, they are allowed to have more than one functional role. If you have someone who is responsible for both pooling and reporting, you can assign them both of those functional roles. We're not prohibiting you from doing that. We're just asking you to make sure that you are aware of what that user's business activities and responsibilities are and provisioning functional roles accordingly. Okay, next slide. So here's a little bit about your privileges as an organization administrator. You're able to send registration invitations for end users to create an account in the portal. You're able to approve or reject those registrations after the end user has submitted. You can request a functional role for a user. You are able to approve or reject a functional role for a user. You can remove functional roles if the person's business function has changed or they were assigned more access than they needed. You're able to remove a functional role. You can enable and disable accounts, lock and unlock accounts. Those are all functions that you're able to complete as an organization administrator. There's also this really nifty application called the Oracle Mobile Authenticator that delivers the one-time PIN to a smart device. You can assist an end user by helping them remove that application from their account if they need assistance doing that. You're also able to update some account attributes, such as if you have a user that has, needs an RSA token, and at the time that they registered for a portal account, they did not have an RSA token. You as the organization administrator are able to go in later and add the RSA token to their account. You can update their phone number, their job title, even their name. Those are things that you're able to manage as an end user. I said even their name, but I don't think that one's true. I'm going to roll that one back. Sorry about that. But there are account attributes in the portal that you're able to update on their behalf. But note, there are several things that the end users are able to complete on their own via self-service. So if your user has forgotten their password or need to reset their password, they can actually manage those activities on their own without any assistance from you. They're able to remove the Oracle Mobile Authenticator application from their account. They can update their own phone number, their own business title. They can even add an avatar or a picture to their account in the portal if they would like to do so. Those are all things that they can manage on their own. But if you move over to that far right column for the operations administrator, who is Ginnie Mae customer support team at the Bank of New York Mellon, there's only one thing that they are able to do to assist you with account management activities, and that's called final acknowledgement. What that means is once you have requested a functional role for an end user and another organization administrator has approved that functional role, ultimately Ginnie Mae has final oversight to acknowledge those requests. And we delegate that responsibility to the Bank of New York Mellon. So what they do is they quote unquote finalize or complete final acknowledgement of that request. That is literally the only function in terms of account access for end users that Ginnie Mae customer support is able to complete on behalf of your end users. So just an important thing to note in terms of your responsibilities as an organization administrator for creating, provisioning access and maintaining user accounts at your organization. Okay, next slide. So we're going to skip through this. This is actually guiding you on how to register for an account in the portal, but we have a demo to show you. So we're going to jump right into the demonstration here in just a second. Okay, right here, we're going to talk about the onboarding workflow. Now, as I mentioned, it is advisable that you have a minimum of 3 organization administrators at your organization. And here's why. If an organization administrator needs to receive an end user functional role, or if someone is not available or out of the office, you're always going to want a backup. And this workflow requires 2 organization administrators. Here's how it goes. If you start off on the left-hand side, you can see the person in gray is an organization administrator. We'll call them org admin number 1. That organization administrator is going to send an email invitation to an end user, inviting them to complete a new user registration form. That user will complete the form and submit it, and then it comes back through the system, and the organization administrators are notified that that request or that form is there. So every organization administrator who did not send the email request is going to receive a notification that there's a registration in there needing approval. So then the second organization administrator will go in and either reject or approve that request. If there are errors in the request, maybe the user's name was spelled wrong, you're going to want to reject it and correct it rather than passing it through. But in general, 99% of the time, you're going to be able to approve the request and push it along. Now, at this point in time, what you've done is you've created a portal account. So you sent an invitation, the user completed that registration form, and then the second org admin approved that registration form, creating an account in My Ginnie Mae. However, that account has no access, meaning it has not been provided a functional role that would give that user access to Ginnie Mae business applications. So you have to move on to the next workflow, which is the access workflow. So you see here that organization administrator number 2 proceeds to request a functional role or functional roles for that same end user. What happens at that point is that every other organization administrator will receive a notification through the portal. They'll get an email notification, but a notification that there is a request for functional role assignment out there that needs to be approved. So you will go in, as long as you are not the organization administrator that made the request, you can go in, review that request, and either reject or approve that request. If for some reason the incorrect functional roles were assigned, you should at that point in time reject the request. But 99% of the time, the proper functional roles will have been requested, and you'll be able to approve that access request. Once you've approved that access request, the operations administrator at the Bank of New York Mellon, on behalf of Ginnie Mae, completes final acknowledgement of that request. Generally, this is done every evening. So at least once a day, if not more often, but at least once a day, the operations administrator will go in, they will finalize the requests that are in the queue, and that will trigger an email notification to the end user that their account has been created and that they have functional roles. They get a welcome email, and then they get a functional role assignment or a new functional role email. Once they've received both of those email messages, they will be able to log into the portal and then access Ginnie Mae business applications. Okay. Usually there's about a 20-minute, period where everything has to, come together, but the user will be able to log into the portal and access Ginnie Mae business applications shortly after receiving those email notifications. Okay, and that is what we call the onboarding workflow. As I mentioned, it requires a minimum of 2 organization administrators to complete the registration workflow to create an account, and to complete the access workflow to assign a functional role. Okay, next slide. So now we're going to do a video demonstration, first walking you through what happens when you receive that email notification. Over the next several days, the operations administrators will be sending emails to each of our organization administrators in wave 4 for you to set up your own user accounts. So be on the lookout for those email invitations, and here are the instructions for what you do once you get that email invitation.
The user shall begin by navigating the registration invitation email that you see on the screen, which is from do-not-reply_access@ginniemay.gov. And in the message, there will be a registration link, as you can see. This will open up a web browser in a window and will take you to the new user registration form. Now, do note there are times when you are blocked from opening a browser. You will have to manually copy the link and paste it to your desired browser. So here we'll go to our browser and paste the URL. Okay, so now you guys can see the new user registration form, and there are several fields in this form will already be populated with information, as you can see, and it's grayed out. The user should double check this information to make sure that the name and the email address is correct, and if not, please notify the operations admin to resend a registration with the correct information. Now, here you will be able to enter your title. In this case, it's Mr., but you can change it to your preference. Then we enter our work number. You will then be able to enter your mobile phone number, which is optional. Then you enter your password, and you confirm your password. Now, please note, if you have a RSA token issued with JennyMae Business System, you will want to select yes to the RSA token indicator and enter the token serial number in the corresponding field. If you do not have a token or access to the token serial number at the time, you can select no. And before moving on, you would then have to agree to the terms and condition and select the box and go over the rules and behaviors. And once you agree, you click yes and accept the privacy policy. And once you agree, you click yes. And once that's done and you're satisfied with the information you have on the screen, you can now go ahead and click finish. Now, to log into MyJennyMae, please navigate on the URL, enter my.jennymae.gov using the browser of your choice. Once you land on MyJennyMae page, you will then enter your username and password. And this is the user email address and password that was established during the registration form we just seen. Here, once we click Login, you will land onto the multi-factor authentication page where you must enter your one-time PIN or OTP. Now, do note the first time you enter, your OTP will be sent to your email address. As you can see here, we do have a second option which says to enter through one-time PIN from Oracle Mobile Authenticator. This is when the user is registered with the Oracle Mobile Authenticator application. So we will select 1. And once we select our desired method of our OTP delivery, we then enter our one-time PIN. Now do know, if you are not registered with OMA, you do have the option to register through the Oracle Mobile Authenticator instructions that you see here. So here you can see when you enter your one-time PIN, this is the page we will enter. And if it's your first time entering the system, please note you are required to select your home organization. And you do this by clicking under your name. And once you click, you will then have a drop-down with your issuer ID. And you will select that, and once you do, the page will refresh and you will see the information that we currently see on the system now. Here you will have your banner that you see on this screen and the carousel, which will rotate to give you crucial information from the system and other necessary details below. For example, your pool data, or we have other widgets with information specific to you and your needs. Over here, we will also have the option to single sign on to their business applications. And again, this is based on your role in your organization. So if you do have access to JennyNet, you will click on Tools, and from the drop-down, you will have the option to click on JennyNet. And once you click on JennyNet, you will be taken to JennyNet page. And the same goes for GMAP 1 application. So if you are to, say, do reporting, you can click on RFS and it'll single sign you on to GMAP 1 to the appropriate application.
So one thing that I want to note, folks, before we move on to the next video, is that what we just demonstrated for you is the registration process for an end user. Now you complete the exact same steps. When it comes to receiving the email notification to complete a new user registration form, that will all be the same. You'll complete that form. If you have an RSA token, you will add the RSA token serial number when you're completing that registration form, and then you will submit it. The operations administrators, since you are organization administrators, will complete, they'll approve that access for you, and they will give you the privileged role so that you can access what's called the Access Management Console. That is not a functional role assignment. So while we did show you what an end user will see, meaning they were able to go in and access Ginnie Mae business applications, that only happens once you've been provided a functional role. So after the operations administrator provides you the privileged role as an organization administrator, if you would like and require access to business applications so that you can get to GinnieNet and RFS, you will need 2 other organization administrators to request and approve that functional role assignment for you so that you can then go in and see those business applications, okay? So once again, the operations administrator will set up your account and give you the privileged role so that you can get to the Access Management Console, which we will show you here in just a moment, but they will not provide you a functional role so that you can see Ginnie Mae business applications. 2 other organization administrators at your organization will need to complete that activity for you. Okay. Now, I know this went pretty fast, but do note that the recording from today's presentation will be made available on the Ginnie Mae website in the next day or 2. And we are going to, we've posted these videos to the Ginnie Mae YouTube page. So the videos will be made available to you via Ginnie Mae YouTube as well. Okay. So fret not. I know it's a lot to take in and we're covering things fairly quickly, but again, there are resources that are available to you to assist you through the process. And quite frankly, it is a very intuitive exercise. I have, for the last couple years, I have walked people hand in hand through this exercise, and they are clicking buttons and moving through the process before I can even tell them what to do next. So I'm highly confident that you guys will be able to manage these activities on your own, okay? So now that we've shown you how to complete your own registration invitation to establish your own account access, we're going to talk to you about your responsibility with setting up users from your organization. Okay, so we're going to show you another video that walks you through how you create those user accounts. And then we will open up for Q&A at the end. So pay attention as best you can. And if you have questions at the end, do know that you'll be able to ask those questions when we get to the end of today's session, okay? All right, here's how you set up users in your organization.
So if you go under Tools, you will see Access Management Console option here. So we will click on the link and a warning pop-up will show. Here you will click yes, and once you click yes, it will take you to Access Management Console. Now here you will see we have 4 tiles that the org administrator will see. First, starting with the new user registration, then we have access request, pending approval, and lastly, user management. We'll now show how we send an invitation to an end user to register with MyGinnieMae. And we do this by first clicking on the new user registration tile. Once you're here, you click on application. And once you click on application, you will see the user registration link, which you will then click. and a pop-up will appear. Here you will see the user request form, which you will fill out, starting with the title. Once you enter your title, you will then enter your first name. If there is a middle name, you will then enter, and then your last name. Next, we enter the job title and the org ID. And here we will put in the end user's email. Now do note that if the user is already registered in the MyGinnieMae portal, there will be an error message that will prompt. So we see here Wade is putting a email account that's already existing, and you see the red box. So this is a way of knowing that if the user is already registered to not enter and enter the correct email. So we'll then correct this to the appropriate email, and the system will validate, and we will not see the error message. Now that it's corrected and we're satisfied with the information we put, we will then click submit. And now the registration is submitted. We would go to pending approval tile. Here you can see the user registration approval and the access request approval option. And just like we saw earlier, we do have a user that has been registered with the first org admin, and now the second org admin will go in and will have the option to either reject the registration or approve. So you can here verify the detail of the user, and if you are satisfied, go ahead, click approve registration. And once you click approve, you will then be prompted to confirm. Go ahead and please confirm. And now the user is registered. So the next step that we will show is how we give a functional role to this user. And to do this, we will go back. And here, once we go back to give functional role, we will click on the access request tile. Once we're inside access request tile, we will look for the user that we registered. So here on the bottom, you can see John Wade with the email that we used to register. We will select this user by clicking on their name. Once we click the user's name, we will then select the organization we want to give them access to. So for our case, it is 3153. Once we select, we then click assign role. Now you will see all the options, the functional roles that are available to give out for this issuer. And for today's demonstration purposes, we will select the authorized signer. So we can select MF loan delivery and pooling authorized signer. And if the user requires additional functional role, we can also select the desired roles. And once we are satisfied with the roles that we're giving, we can then click assign role on the bottom right. And to note, there is description to these functional roles. So if you do not know what these functional role means, you do get a description to the right. And once we're satisfied, we click submit. Here you will see all the entities that goes within the functional role. Then we go to pending approval tile. Here as the second org administrator, we will see under access request approval, the user and the functional role pending. Okay, so you can now see the request. You will have the request ID, the functional role, the organization, the user email, and the status. So here you can see it's in pending status, waiting for the second administrator to approve. And here again, you will see the detail of the functional role with the username. And once you are satisfied with the detail, you can either reject it or approve. So we will go ahead and approve this and confirm it. The functional role is now approved. Now please note, after this step, the operations admin will have to then go in and finalize the role as mentioned previously. And once the role is finalized, we can then go into the user management tile that we saw. So if Wade, you can go back and click on the user management tile. Here we will have the option to see the user's detail and the status of their functional roles. So here you can see all the users' name, their email, and their organization. And the reason we do see multiple accounts here is because multiple users are registered under this organization. So the account that we just recently approved, functional role, we can click on that person's name and it'll take us to their detail. Here you can see, if you can scroll up under the user management tab here, you can see the user's display name. You can see their email address or their login ID, their title, first name, middle, last name. Here, do note that the org admin will have the option to add the RSA token detail. Underneath, we will see their email, mobile number, work number, and extension, along with the organization information, their job title.
Okay. So that is how you send a registration invitation, as well as how you approve that invitation, and how you ultimately send a functional role request and then approve that functional role request. And
you will see Access Management Console option here.
Hold on just one second.
So
there we go. Okay. So these are the actions that you as an organization administrator will need to complete on behalf of all of the users that need to be set up within your organization in MyGinnieMae. We'll go ahead and go back to the training presentation. Okay. So now is my favorite part of the presentation. This is where I get to invite Wade Gale from the Bank of New York Mellon to join me and talk you through how to manage some of the troubleshooting items that you might encounter as an organization administrator. Wade, are you still there? Are you awake?
Yes, I am.
Yay.
Good afternoon, Letitia. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Happy Monday. I hope it's sunny and bright where you are, not where I am currently in New York City. But hey, it's what it is. So welcome to a new normal, and I hope everybody's adapting to whatever that is. So let's go through some of the troubleshooting errors you might get as an org admin when you're actually setting up a user. Toy did show you this one in the first going around as part of the video that we saw. And this one is like an email already exists in the system, and you're actually trying to put that. Maybe you just forgot that user was registered, and you're trying to put in the same email address. You will actually get a message in red telling you that that user is already on the system. So that is something you have to look out for. My system just timed out on me, people, so that's why I was struggling a little bit. So you'll see that sometime, and since the system is configured to prevent invitation to email addresses already registered, in attempting to add a functional role, please refer to the section in Request Functional Role. So you're not doing a functional role here. You're just adding an email address. So you just want to be careful that the email, if it's on the system, the system will flag you that as an error message. So that's one of the things you'll notice as a org admin as part of your process setting up a end user. Next slide, please. And then this one we have the 3 invitation and send alert, just an issue. Because of course we're sending invite to someone's email address. That person might not be available. We weren't aware, we weren't told that that person is not going to be there. So we sent them an invite. Because one thing you should know, these invites do expire in 24 hours. So once you send it to your end user, if they haven't responded, it's going to expire in 24 hours. So you can send another one. If they still didn't respond in 24 hours, you can send another one. After you send the third one, there's going to be just an invitation alert to you that you have actually sent three invitations to that user. It's not an error message that's going to stop you. It's just an upfront alert. It's a warning message. No action is required, as an invitation can be sent up to 5 times. But we're just saying, hey, wait, you have actually sent it 3 times. Maybe Mary doesn't want to talk to you, or maybe Mary's just not around. So we just want to hold off on that before we check to send out the 4th or the 5th one. Next slide, please. Okay, now this is a warning after the 5 invitation flag issue. When sending a new user registration invitation to an end user, if an invitation has already been sent to the end user email address a total of 5 times, the email address will be flagged and additional requests cannot be sent. So that's what you're going to get. After 5 tries, you won't be able to send another one. Hopefully, we won't get to that part of it, but if you have already sent 5, that person has not responded, and you're trying to send the 6th one, then you would have to get in touch with us at BNY Mellon to try and help you clear that up. So the resolution for this one is, in order to send another invite to the user's email address, action is required from the operation admin group. So we would have to do some magic behind the scenes to clear out those initial requests and allow you, the org admin, to send that invite to the end user. Next slide, please. All right. I'm glad you have this short time with you. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to pass you back to Letitia so she can finish the process, and everybody will get what's the full process of enrolling setting up someone on MyGINNIEMAE. Letitia, it's all yours. Thank you.
One moment, folks. I think Letitia's having some issues with her audio. She'll be back in a moment.
Okay, if that let me just I'll do it. Okay. These are some things that we had talked about, and we had mentioned as part of the slides. You need a minimum of 2 org admins. Minimum of 2 org admins to do your registration. But if you, as an org admin, is also going to have functional roles, then you're going to need another one. So we say get it at least 3. You need at least 3, because if you're just going to be just org admins alone, you need 2. But if those same org admins are also going to have functional roles, then you want to make sure you have 3 org admins, 3 reliable org admins to actually do the complete process. And of course, an org admin has to be in the company's corporate resolution, so it hasn't changed. Just like if you are a security officer in GMAP or you are an enrollment officer in GINNIEMAE, we look to make sure you're on that 11702 form. So it does go to the same thing here, because when that information comes into us, we actually do our due diligence and check 11702 to make sure that Mary Jones is requesting to be an org admin, and if she's on the 11702, we can proceed with that request. So that is something we do look forward to. System requirement. GenMAE can be accessed using one of the following. You can, of course, you can use the Google, Internet Explorer, or Firefox. And we also want to make sure when you're setting up your system and when you're logging in, make sure your web browser pop-up blocker must be disabled. That's very important in terms of when you want to connect. Make sure all those browsers, those pop-up blockers are disabled before you actually go in and start your processing. Next slide.
Hey, Letitia, are you back? I think you dialed back in. Let me check the.
Okay, these are some of the stuff that we had actually mentioned earlier. We just want to give you some more information on these. The following information will have the organization and its user prepared for the onboarding process. Of course, a table of functional roles and their description is available in the appendix of the MyGenMAE Getting Started manual. You want to look at those manuals because those manuals do give you step-by-step ways of how to go in and set up your system. Org admin will need the following information to send a registration invite. You saw that demonstration a little bit, some of the things you need. You need a display name. That name must match the name on the 11702. Very, very, very important. If the person is Wade W. Gale, you want to make sure you put Wade W. Gale in the entry because especially if that person has a token, we're going to look for that exact name when that person is getting ready to do their submission, that information match what's on the token. So you want to make sure that's clear. Email address, it's going to be a valid company's email address, not your personal Gmail address. It must be an address domain that business domain that we will whitelist as part of our process. The issuer's name, issuer's ID, job title, telephone number, and the RSA token is optional. If that person has a RSA token at the time of registration, you want to make sure you put that in so it follows a part of that workflow that goes in with the RSA token. And in order to somehow do not send registration invites to users that are not out of the office. That's when you get to that third, fourth, or fifth one. So you just want to make sure that's not done. And we also recommend do not bookmark the login page. Instead of bookmark the public landing page at the my.genmae.gov. You want to make sure you do that so it gets there, and then you click on login and put in your user ID and password. And again, we had mentioned this, assign the basic user or authorized signer functional, not both. If this person is just a basic user, that means they're not doing any form of transmission for loan delivery or investor reporting. They don't need both. They don't need to have the investor reporting, authorized signer, and basic user, and vice versa if you're doing loan delivery. It's just if you're investor reporting and you're authorized signer, you just get the one role. Both. If you're basic, you don't need to get both. So you just want to be careful on that because what happens if you approve that and the second org admin goes in and does the approval, it comes to us at BNY Mellon for the finalization. At that point, we cannot go in and reject that request because it's actually gone through the stages. So you just want to be careful on that. And we also the material is out there in genmae.gov on the modernization. You want to make sure take advantage of these documents because it gives you a lot of step-by-step how to do such and such. And again, if you're not clear on it, that's where the GenMAE customer support group is. You can give us a call and we can explain certain things for you. Next slide. Is Letitia back?
I think I'm back. Can you hear me?
There we go. Yep,
yes.
We can hear you.
Great. They yanked my microphone, you guys. Okay. So thank you, Wade. Thank you so much for covering.
No problem.
You clearly know this stuff better than I do, so I left you and them in capable hands. So here's what's next. I've had several of you ask questions about when are the emails coming, Wade and his team started sending emails to Wave 4 organization administrators today. There are a lot of you. So please note that it will take them until the 20th, which is a week from today, to send all of those emails, okay? So if you are awaiting an email, do not reach out to Ginnie Mae customer support until after next Monday. Again, you are a large wave with a lot of people to set up. So they need several days, and we do not send registration invitations on Fridays, okay? So look for your email between now and next Monday. If by close of business next Monday you have not received that email invitation, you may contact Ginnie Mae customer support to have another one sent or find out what might have gone wrong, okay? So if you are an organization administrator in Wave 4, you will receive your email invitation sometime between today and next Monday, okay? Please note that you have, as Wade mentioned, 24 hours to respond to that email invitation before it expires and is no longer valid, okay? So if you are out of the office or otherwise detained when that email arrives and cannot respond within 24 hours, you'll need to contact Ginnie Mae customer support to have another invitation sent. As we mentioned, that's something important to note when you're setting up your own users. You'll want to try to make sure that folks are in the office or have access to internet or their email so that they can respond to those invitations when you're sending them within 24 hours, okay? So again, between now and next Monday, our organization administrators in Wave 4 will receive their emails to set up their accounts in My Ginnie Mae, okay? What do you do if you are not sure if you're an organization administrator or you need to add organization administrators? Well, in that case, you will need to make sure that that user is on the HUD 11702. If they are not, you need to update your board of resolution. That's the HUD 11702 to have them added, and then contact Ginnie Mae customer support to complete an org admin application and to have them set up as an organization administrator in My Ginnie Mae. Okay, so existing security officers and enrollment administrators will be grandfathered in, assuming they are still on the HUD 11702. Anyone else will need to be added to the 11702 if they are not already on it, and then they will need to complete an application to be added to the portal as an organization administrator. So after you have been set up and another organization administrator, so at least two organization administrators at your organization have been set up, you want to begin onboarding your end users. You do have a target date by which your end users need to be set up. For Wave 4, that is July 22nd. So we give you approximately 90 days after all of the org admins have been set up in the system through this first initial, onboarding wave. And then you need to begin setting up your users. You need to create their accounts in My Ginnie Mae. You need to give them their functional roles, and you need to encourage them to use My Ginnie Mae to access Ginnie Mae business applications. Here's why. We have noted when we ran our pilot, there were some problems that were created for users who went back and forth between My Ginnie Mae and our legacy system. Please encourage your users, once they have established that account in My Ginnie Mae, once you've established their account, encourage them to use that account so that A, you do not have system errors created, And B, because MyGinnieMae is a secure way of doing business. Here's the risk that you run, especially while we are all working remotely, by not using MyGinnieMae. Now, in a time like this, where all of us are working remotely on our individual systems, our systems are even more vulnerable than they were before. MyGinnieMae is a secure portal that is conducive to remote work situations and should be utilized, okay? Please do not be lazy, people. Do not revert back to your old credentials. Force yourself to use MyGinnieMae. Force yourself to learn how to navigate the new portal. Force yourself to use your new credentials. It is going to be more secure. Once you begin to use it, you'll realize it's actually easier to do it that way. And going back and forth could, and we have noted, could create some system problems for you. So please set up those accounts, use those accounts, and move on. But if you want to ignore what I'm saying right now, please note that approximately July 22nd will be your last opportunity to use those old credentials, and we will disable them, okay? So encourage your end users to attend MyGinnieMae training so that we can share this information with them as well. The session for end users in Wave 4 is happening on Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Reach out to the users, the MyGinnieMae portal users in your organization, and encourage them to attend that training so they know what's coming their way, and so that we're able to help talk to them about what the portal is, what the portal isn't, and how they can benefit by using it. We have weekly listening sessions every Thursday where it is an office hours for you to come ask questions. Please note that we do have training the next 3 Thursdays. So we will begin those sessions again on May 7th. But on a weekly basis, we do invite you to come join us and hear the latest happenings in the portal, provide your feedback, and ask us any questions. There's always some juicy tidbit that comes out of those weekly listening sessions, and so we do encourage you to participate. Check the modernization page of the GinnieMae website. Today's presentation, the PowerPoint presentation, is already posted there. The recording from today's session will be posted there in the next couple of days. The user manuals, the quick reference cards, the videos, everything that you need is right there on the modernization page of the GinnieMae website. Go to ginniemay.gov, hover over issuers, and then drop down under issuer training. You will find the modernization page, okay? And if all else fails, Wade and his team are always happy to help do what they can to assist you in navigating the portal. So you're welcome to contact GinnieMae customer support. That's 1-833-GNMA-HELP, 1-833-466-2435, or email them at ginniemay1@bnymellon.com. Please do understand that over the next 5 days, that team will be busy trying to get all of you set up in MyGinnieMae. So now is not the best time to inundate them with inquiries that are not urgent. If you do wait until after next Monday, I promise you, you will have their undivided attention. So if you absolutely have to reach out to them and require assistance in the next week, please, by all means, do so. You know, just note that they're a very, very, very busy team, and they have a lot of work to do over the next week to get you guys set up, which is their primary focus, okay? Next slide. Okay, so now, before we open it up for question and answer, there is one favor that I have to ask of you. Ian Host, who is coordinating today's presentation for us today, is about to post a link in the chat for a feedback survey. We would love to hear your feedback on today's session. How do you think it went? What could we do better? What additional information do you feel that you need? Is there additional training that you would like to see us provide? Please, any information and feedback that you have for us, we would love to hear. We take your feedback very seriously. The results from these surveys make it all the way up to the president of our organization and throughout all of our leadership. So the information that you provide us is definitely utilized and is very valuable to us in making sure that we provide good information to all of our issuers and business partners. So please, if you navigate to the chat at the bottom of your screen, if you drop your mouse down to the bottom of your screen, you should see an item that says chat. Open that up, click that link, copy and paste that link into a web browser and complete that survey for us before you go so that we can know what else we can do to assist you. Now, without further ado, I'm going to open it up for question and answer. Please do not act like there are no questions out there. You guys have been chatting with me throughout this presentation. I know there are questions, and I look forward to a vibrant session while you guys ask us questions that you might have about MyGinnieMae and what you're being asked to do. So if you join today's audio through the Zoom computer link, meaning you have connected through Zoom and are playing audio through your computer, you can drop down to the bottom of your screen and there is a Q&A button. You can select that and indicate to us that you would like us to unmute your line so that you can, unmute your line so that you can ask a question. The other thing that you can do, or you can type, actually, you can, I'm sorry, I'm saying this wrong, aren't I, Ian? I apologize.
The raise a hand feature will let us know to unmute your line.
Thank you. Yes, I realized what I was doing after I got well down the track. Sorry about that, you guys. Yes, so at the bottom, you can raise your hand to indicate that you would like us to unmute your audio line via your computer so that you can ask a question, or you can drop down and type it in that Q&A, and we will respond via text if you want us to do that. But the other thing that you can do is if you join today's audio through the phone line, so you're using the Zoom meeting and you joined the audio through the phone line, you can hit *9. Is that right, Ian?
Correct. Yep, that'll let us know you want to unmute your line, and we can unmute you then. *9.
Yes.
Yep.
*9, if you're on a phone line through Zoom, will let us know that you have a question and we can unmute your line so you can ask that question. So again, type it in the chat, in the Q&A, raise your hand at the bottom of the screen or hit *9 on your phone line if you would like to ask a question.
We got one question from Lorna. So Lorna, I just unmuted your line. Go ahead and chat. You might have to unmute yourself, Lorna, within the Zoom app. There you go. I see it. You there, Lorna?
So Lorna, at the bottom left of your screen, there's a button to unmute yourself. You might need to hit that button. So while we're waiting on, I was going to say, while we're waiting on Lorna, there is a question that came in through the chat about how we are grandfathering security officers into MyGinnieMae. We have a report of the security officers and enrollment administrators that were in GinnieNet and GMEP 1.0. We are taking that list. And if those users are on the HUD 11702, which they should have been in the first place, they will receive an email invitation to be an organization administrator in MyGinnieMae. So if you were an enrollment administrator in GinnieNet, a security officer in GMEP 1.0, and you are still on the HUD 11702, you will receive an email invitation to become an organization administrator in MyGinnieMae. Do we have any questions on the phone, Ian?
Nope, nothing at this time. Again, *9 to raise your hand from the phone, or if you're in the Zoom, the audio's in the Zoom, click the raise your hand button.
Here's another item that I want to note that we probably covered very quickly, and I just want to make sure people are clear. If you are an issuer or if you're a user, I should say, that requires access to multiple issuer IDs, meaning you do business on behalf of more than one issuer, you are able to have one account that has access to multiple issuer IDs. So you will still set up just one MyGinnieMae account with your corporate email address, and all of the issuer numbers that you need to have access to, you will be able to access through that account. You no longer need separate accounts for separate systems. That includes if you require access to multiple issuer IDs. Okay? And do we have any questions on the line?
Nope, not right now.
There is a question in the chat that I'm sorry, I'm going to need a little more clarification on. It was a question about if you do not have, I'm sorry, let me read it correctly. Does it matter if I have an issuer ID? And I'm not sure what that question is specifically asking. So if I did not answer your question in my response, please type in again a clarifying question, because I'm not totally clear on what you're asking, and I want to make sure that I get you the response that you need. So if you're the one who asked, does it matter if I have an issuer ID? Please let me know what else I might be able to do to answer that question, okay? Okay, now I think I get it. So this person is saying, ooh, the questions are coming now, baby. Okay, so this person is saying that I was noticing that my name is appearing on the dashboard, but my issuer ID is not showing. So here is a fatal error that users are making when they are logging in for the first time. We have instructed you that the first time you log into the portal, you need to go into My Profile and select your default issuer ID. If you don't complete that step, your issuer ID will not display, nor will you have access to the business applications, okay, all the business applications. So please make sure that you are paying attention. Much of this registration process is intuitive and very easy to follow, but if you get all the way through those steps and do not complete this one manual piece, where you go into your profile and select that default issuer ID, you will not see your issuer information. You will not see those business applications. So there are quick reference cards, and also inside of the Getting Started User Manual on ginniemay.gov, the modernization page of ginniemay.gov is where those user manuals reside. It walks you through those steps and tells you the very first time you log in, please select that issuer ID to make sure that you can connect to the information that should be displaying on your dashboard and the applications that you need to access, okay? So what it'll do is you'll log into my dashboard, your name will be there, there'll be some information, but some stuff will be blank and some stuff will be missing. You have to, the very first time you log in, complete that step, and that will resolve that problem. If you've done that and you're still having issues, please contact Wade and his team. They get paid to deal with those headaches, and they will fix it for you, I promise. Let's see. What else do we have? So I'm on the HUD 11702, and I am a security officer. However, the other security officer is not on the 11702. Here's what you can do. Regardless of who's on the 11702 now and who is not, the bottom line is it is and should be a requirement that our system administrators are on the 11702, and therefore Wade's team is doing a double check before we set up organization administrators in MyGinnieMae. So if you have organization administrators if you want to have organization administrators set up and they're not on the 11702, you must first add them. You will need to update that HUD 11702 with anyone who is not listed that you want to have serve as an organization administrator, okay? And then once that person has been added to the 11702, reach out to GinnieMae customer support to complete that application for them to be set up as an organization administrator in MyGinnieMae. But we cannot set them up with the privileged role of organization administrator if they are not listed on the HUD 11702. So regardless of whether they used to be and now they're not, and you want them to be again, or whatever it is, please get them added to that 11702, and then we can talk about adding them as an org admin.
Yes,
Wade,
one thing.
Add to that?
One thing on that, Letitia, just in case if you fully set up as an org admin and that's a new person that's going to be on the 11702, and they're already on the 11702, you can actually send that person an invite, and the second admin can actually approve it and just send us a note via email telling us that you want Wade Gale from issue 1234 to get the privilege role as an org admin. So we can do it that way too.
Yes. But please do not do that until you've added that person to the 11702. Wade's team does run a check on that.
Yes.
And if they're not listed, they will not be able to give them that privileged role.
Correct.
Okay. So I think I've answered this one. If you were a security officer in our legacy systems, but currently not listed on the 11702, we will not be sending you a registration invitation to be an org admin in MyGinnieMae. You must be listed. It is an MDS guide requirement. You must be listed on the HUD 11702 in order to be an administrator in our system. So if that somehow fell off, you'll want to go ahead and get that taken care of now so that we can get you added as an org admin in MyGinnieMae. Ian, do I have any callers on the line that would like to ask a question?
No, nothing right now.
Okay. So this is a question that's a little bit different in nature. It's not about being an org admin. It's just clarifying that in order to be an authorized signer, the person needs to be on the 11702. Okay, actually, let me, this question's asked a little bit differently. The person needs to be one of the 3 security officers on the 11702. No, whether or not you are an authorized signer and a security officer is unrelated. You can have people on the 11702 who are authorized signers but not security officers. You can have people listed on the 11702 who are what we call now not security officers but organization administrators but are not authorized signers. They can all be listed on the same HUD 11702 and have different functions and different roles. So just because you are on the 11702 does not automatically mean that you are an authorized signer or that you are an organization administrator. It just means that you could be, okay? So the way that someone would become, an authorized signer is that they are listed on the HUD 11702 and you have assigned the authorized signer functional role in MyGinnieMae to that user. That is how someone would become an authorized signer, okay? So they must be listed on the HUD 11702 and provided the authorized signer functional role. Now, if you are also an organization administrator, it's gravy. That's fine. As long as it is relevant to your business responsibilities, that you need to be an authorized signer is perfectly fine. But the difference here is that being an organization administrator is a security privilege in MyGinnieMae. Being an authorized signer is attached to a functional role inside of MyGinnieMae, inside of our systems, our applications in MyGinnieMae. So you would, those are two different things. You need to also have an end user functional role with authorized signer attached to it in order to be an authorized signer.
And you must have the physical, right now, the RSA token, that RSA fob, that's all, you need to have that too as an authorized signer.
Correct. Yes, absolutely. And I should mention, consequently, organization administrators do not require an RSA token as part of their role to be an organization administrator. However, if you're an organization administrator and an authorized signer, you will need an RSA token to complete those authorized signer responsibilities. Hopefully that was clear. If not, please, ask it again, and we're happy to answer it again. I promise. Okay. So the question is, it says how to add an operations administrator, but I'm sure that you mean organization administrator. Our operations administrator, that's Wade and his team at the Bank of New York Mellon. So I hope I did not confuse you with that one. But to add an organization administrator for your organization, again, please make sure they are listed on the HUD 11702. You can, as Wade indicated, if you are already set up as an organization administrator, you can request that another organization administrator be added if they are already on the HUD 11702. If they are not, you will have to begin there. Please have them added to the HUD 11702. And then you may proceed by requesting that they receive that privileged role to be an organization administrator for your organization. Okay, hopefully that knocked out a couple of questions there. So just a clarifying question, I'm an enrollment administrator in GinnieNet and on the 11702. Will I receive an email to be an org admin in MyGinnieMae? Yes, you should. So if you do not, by the end of the day next Monday, receive that email invitation, that means that there's something wrong in our records, and you need to give us a call. But as I mentioned, this is a very large wave. There are a lot of organizations in this wave. It will take some time for us to get all of those invitations out. So please do wait until next Tuesday, the 21st, to contact Wade and his team if you've not received that email invitation for you to be set up as an organization administrator. Okay? All right. Once again, don't forget that in the chat there is that link to complete the survey. Again, we take your feedback very seriously and appreciate it. So please do complete our feedback survey before you go. Do I have any other questions on the line, Ian?
Nope, no other questions right now.
Okay. So hopefully we gave you the information that you need to go ahead and get started. We will have one more, I should mention, these training sessions, while targeted to, each wave, are very similar in terms of their content. And so you are welcome to attend any training session that we have posted if you would like additional information. You are welcome to join our weekly listening sessions when we start those up again on May 7th. You are also welcome to contact us. If you have general questions about Ginnie Mae onboarding, the target date, training opportunities, where to find additional information, you're also welcome to contact CXG for Customer Experience Group. That's CXG@HUD.gov, and we're happy to answer your non-technical questions through that mailbox as well. Let's see here. So I don't see any more questions in the Q&A chat, and it sounds like you guys are, you know, all tuckered out. So I think we can go ahead and call it an afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully, you know, you'll have a wonderful experience in the portal, and we look forward to any of your questions and helping you through this process. Thank you.